Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to Truth Guitar Method. My name is Joel. You can call me Joel, son of Caesar. And yes, my dad's name really is Caesar. So today we're talking about music symbols or the notation. You know, the stuff that you see whenever you go to Ultimate Guitar Tabs or whatever, right? When you get your tabs and you're looking at all these weird symbols and what do they mean. As a beginner, sometimes we get fixated on just replicating the music, just recreating the music that has already written when we're trying to learn something new. But we forget that each symbol means something, and we forget that those symbols often help us be more dynamic with our playing. So let's take a look at some of these symbols and what do they mean. Here we go. So as a beginner, we go and we look for music on our own time because we want to play the songs that we want to play. And usually what happens is you're going to go and you're going to go to a website that has tablature or a website that has actual notation, and you're going to find the stuff. And then when you see the music and the notation, sometimes you end up getting stuck because you don't know how to read it and you don't understand it. And it's not sounding like the music that you want to play. That's the reason for this video, is because when that happens to you, I want you to understand what to do. Now, this video is not about every single symbol, and a beginner shouldn't have to know all the symbols. As an advanced player, I don't even know all the symbols. Sometimes I have to, look for them because it's not a common thing. So we're going to go ahead and look at some of the symbols that I put together in a piece of music called the music symbol Etude. Now the word Etude just simply means a study. And you can get this etude or this study or this little piece of music that I made at TruthGuitarMethod.com under the tab Free Stuff. So let's go ahead and take a look at this piece. So in order to grab the piece, like I just said, you need to head on over to TruthGuitarMethod.com. So you're going to want to open up the website, and you're going to see a whole bunch of tabs. And I'm going to talk real quick about one of the tabs it says giveaway on there. If you want some free stuff, man, look at that tab, read it. I'm not going to talk about it right now. I'm just saying, okay? So we go to truthguitarmethod.com. And then once you're there, you're going to go to free stuff. The tab is right here. And you're going to scroll down. Now all this stuff that you see is free. You can download it and use it for your own benefit, to get better at guitar, or to understand certain things. So the music symbol Etude. A music symbol Etude is basically a piece of music that I created that has all kinds of symbols, all kinds of common symbols that you might run into when trying to learn one of your favorite pieces. So let's go ahead and talk about each and every single one of the symbols that are in this page. I'm not going to skip a single one, so stay tuned. Here we go. So I went ahead and I opened up the music symbol Etude using Adobe Acrobat Pro DC, and just so that you can see what I'm talking about. So I went ahead and I grabbed my highlighter here in yellow, and we're going to take a look at some of these symbols. So again, this musical symbol Etude, the music is not made to sound amazing. It's not made to sound beautiful or anything like that. It's strictly made for beginners to understand what each one of the symbols means. So let's start with the first one right here. We have a tempo marking, and that tempo marking is telling me that that quarter note, that first symbol, that quarter note, has to equal to 80 beats per minute. That means when you're using a metronome, you're going to set it to 80 beats per minute. So I'm going to go ahead and set it now, for example. And every single measure, every single box, in other words, every single box, like every single box, here's one box, right? It's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you're learning something for the first time, you don't need to be able to play it at 80 beats per minute right from the beginning. It's the recommended tempo for the piece, because that's what it's supposed to, that's where it's supposed to be challenging, or that's exactly how it's supposed to sound. But when you're learning it, you can do it a lot slower, okay? All right, let's see here. How do I undo create pencil? All right, so the next symbol that we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about the treble clef. Now, the treble clef is a simple thing that musicians see, and it's basically, it's kind of like a marker on your music that tells you what the lines are going to mean and what the spaces are going to mean in the music notation. There are more than one clef, and that's the reason I'm explaining it. For guitarists, usually you'll see a treble clef, and the treble clef basically says that the bottom line is E, second line is G, third line is B, fourth line is D, fifth line is F, and then the spaces are F, first space, second space is A, third space is C, and then the fourth space is E. Okay. The next thing we're going to look at is the time signature. The time signature is basically telling us that each measure, like we said before, is going to have a total of 4 beats, not 4 notes, 4 beats. Okay, that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's basically what that means. Okay, let's go ahead and undo that. And then over here we have the tablature. The bottom portion is tablature. Okay, all this. If you notice, the difference is that in tablature there's 6 lines, and in notation there's 5. Now the top lines, right on the top here, those are telling us how to read the music. That means if I had another instrument which would read music in treble, then you could technically still play those notes. The bottom one is actually referring to the guitar strings, and the guitar strings are guitar string 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 6 strings. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and undo those to have enough space for some of this stuff here. Okay, so then we've got here eighth notes. Okay, an eighth note is basically a half of a beat. So 2 of those equal 1, and you need a total of 4 beats. So that is a half of a beat. So it's a very quick note. And then that is an eighth rest. That is also a half of a beat, but it's a half of a silent beat. So whenever you see that sign, it's like shh, there should be no sound at all on the strings or anything like that. Okay. Now, if you take a look at the top portion here, you'll see that there are numbers. Okay. Those numbers for guitarists are recommended fingers for that particular note. A 1 is your first finger, 2, middle finger, 3, ring finger, 4 is your pinky, and 0 means you don't use a finger. So you'll only see 1, 2, 3, and 4. You won't see a 5 on there. Okay. Now the numbers down here are a little bit different. The numbers down here sometimes will be exactly the same as the numbers on the top, but they're different. The bottom numbers mean which fret you need to press. Now, you see the problem here is if we didn't have the top half, then we know that we have to press the first fret, the third fret, and then the first, but which finger do we use? That's why in music notation you have those numbers, because if you have both of these going at the same time, then you can know, oh, I press, with the first finger or whatever. Okay. All right, let me go ahead and undo this portion because the next sign is right here. Now this right here is a slur. Okay. It's either going to be a hammer-on or a pull-off. If you want to learn more about hammer-ons and pull-offs, check out the video that I did a couple of weeks ago on hammer-ons and pull-offs. Okay. Now this one's a little bit different. Okay, that is not a hammer-on and that is not a pull-off. That is a tie, literally a tie. It means that we're going to tie this note to this note. And this note equals 2, and this note equals 2. So 2 plus 2 is 4. That's why here at the bottom you only have a 0 for 1, because it's going to last the whole 4 beats. Yeah. let's see, did I miss anything here? Okay, we've got the letter P. If you see a letter P in your music, that means it stands for the word piano. And in music, piano means soft. That means when you play this, you need to play it softly. Okay. Then we have this, which everybody understands usually if they're guitarists. That is a chord chart. So it's recommending that you play that particular chord, and then it tells you the name. So it's giving you a chord, that way you don't have to like look at every single one of the notes and have to figure out where each finger goes, right? Like here. Instead, if you know the letter, or you know the shape, or you know the name of the chord, you can just look at the chart and just kind of skip over this, okay? This symbol right here is called the fermata. The fermata just means that you're gonna hold the note, and usually it means watch your conductor, watch the person that's in charge, so that they release you into the next area, okay? So it's like a little longer than a whole note. And then the squiggly line that you see right here, that squiggly line means strum, okay? And that's pretty much it there. Okay, moving on. So we've got the letter F. Letter F is basically the opposite of P. P is piano. F means forte. And forte means loud. So you're gonna play this next section loud, okay? This next fret, this next measure loudly, okay? And again, look at the numbers here, they've changed. So now we're looking at different numbers on a different string, string 2, string 3. Okay, in this measure, what we've got is we have this full, and you have this little arrow pointing up. That's a bend. That means you're gonna go to the 6th fret, okay, using whatever finger is recommended. In this case, I didn't put a finger recommendation there. You're gonna bend that note up to the next note. Since it says full, the next note after that one, that's an F. So you're gonna fully bend to the next note, which is G. Right? So in reality, that is supposed to be a G, but because of the but because of the word full and that little arrow, it's on the F, meaning you're gonna bend the F full all the way to G. Okay. Now, I forgot to mention these lines. These are bar lines, and bar lines are simply there to separate the music so it doesn't look all jumbled up. Okay, so I think that's everything on the top line. All right, so then we go ahead and look at the bottom one. We've got a half note. A half note equals 2 beats, right? So it's gonna go. This little note is going to sing its way through 2 beats. So it's gonna go 1, 2, and then we have this little black square. That means that's a half rest. So like before, we had an 8th rest, and the 8th rest was quiet. Just like that, this is a half rest. And so the half rest is gonna be quiet, but it's gonna be quiet for 2 beats, for 2 full beats. You'll notice that occasionally on the corner of the stanzas of the lines, you'll see a number on the top. That just means that's letting you know that's the 5th measure. So we go back, right? We've got measure 1, measure 2, measure 3, measure 4, and measure 5, which is why we have a 5 there. If we look down here, that's measure 9. And by the time you get down here, measure 13. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all those circles because they just look ridiculous. All right. So, and you're going to use the, 5th fret to play that note. Now here we have kind of a chord, right? But these are power chords. And you have the letters P.M with a line dashed all the way through. That means palm mute. So that means your hand is going to go over the bridge, and you're going to get that thumping sound from the strings. So those chords need to be palm muted all the way through. Now the next one is interesting, right? We've got 16th notes. These are 16th notes. Now these are grouped together. When they're grouped, they're usually grouped in 4s, usually. But if they were by itself, it would kind of look like the 8th note over here with one flag, except it would have two flags. That's why it has two beams on the top. And a 16th note is basically a quarter of a beat. So if you have 4 quarter of the beats, then one grouping is 1 beat. So the second grouping is 2 beats, and then we've got quarter notes, right? And the quarter notes are each equal 1 beat. So 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 4, which is what we need, right? That's what we had said. Now here we have piano, which we already know is soft, and we have forte, which we already know is loud. But then we have this less than, greater than sign that's a little longer than usual. That is letting you know that you're going to start piano and then slowly grow and get louder until you get to forte. That's it. We've already talked about the tie. So in this case, we've got a quarter note, which is 1 beat, a half note, which is 2 beats. So that's a total of 3 beats. So this has to last for 3 beats. And then here we have a squiggly line on top. That means you're going to vibrate that note. That's vibrato. So with your fretting hand, you're going to move up and down to get that back and forth motion. Okay. We also have here on this measure, we have this squiggly line, and that is a quarter rest. Okay. So it's just like this quarter note here, but it is a complete and silent 1 full beat of rest. So in total, again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, which is what we need. Okay. Moving on to measure 9. All right, so these right here are telling you to pick the note down. And these right here are telling you to pick the note up. So down and up. So we also have these lines, okay? And these lines are telling us, and they're different, and people write them differently. I just realized I missed that note, but that's supposed to be an E right there. So these lines are telling us that we need to slide. So in this case, right, this note here, the 3, you're going to slide up to fret 9. And then you're gonna slide to fret 5. And then you're gonna slide to fret 12. And then you're gonna slide to fret 7. And then slide to fret 8. So it's sliding back and forth. If you want to know more about sliding, there's a lesson on the beginner level 1 on my channel on the playlist, and you can learn how to slide back and forth properly without getting the sound of the frets. Okay. We already talked about this squiggly line. The squiggly line means vibrato, and we have it again over here. Okay. Let me see here. Give me 1 second. So right there and right there. Okay, now normally you see 2 of them, and that's because, you know, I wrote this in case you want to read music notes, then you look at the top half. If you want to read tablature, then you look at the bottom half. So it doesn't mean anything if it's on both of them. Okay, now you'll notice here that these notes have a dot above them. Okay, that little dot is called a staccato. So that note is still worth 1 whole beat, or one half of a beat, because it's an 8th note, right? They're connected by 1 beam, so it's an 8th note. And so when you see a little dot above a note, that means you're going to pluck that note, but you're going to release it immediately. It's meant to be short. So staccato meaning a short note. So it'll be boop, boop, super short. And then we have our accidentals. This is a flat symbol, and this is a sharp symbol. A flat symbol means that the note is going to be flattened, and the sharp symbol means that it's going to be raised. And that's pretty much it there. We did have these before. These are whole notes. So just like the quarter note equals 1 beat, the 16th equals a half of a beat, the 16th note equals a quarter of a beat, and then the half note equals 2 beats. The whole note equals 4 beats. So that means that note is going to rock on by itself for 4 whole beats. So it'll be 1, it'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. So it'll sing along for 4 whole beats. Okay. And we're coming up to the last portion. If you ever see notes that have these dashes through them, that means you are going to play tremolo. And tremolo means that you're going to play the note and like in quick motion. I don't know if that makes any sense. I am going to play the piece in a little bit so that you understand how it sounds. But so the little dashes just mean tremolo in quick motion. Okay. And then we have this wavy line. And that wavy line is letting you know that this note is going to sing by itself, but you need to use your whammy bar here. So down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And the long intervals of that shape means that it's a slow whammy bar. If it was quick intervals, then it'd be a fast whammy bar. And then finally, from the most recent lesson, if you see diamond-shaped notes or a circle above a note, that is telling you to play the harmonic. Now, it all depends on the person who wrote the piece, but harmonics are written differently depending on where they studied or who studied or how they want to define it. In this case, I'm telling you that you're going to go to the 12th fret and you're going to play those notes harmonically, which means you're going to press the 12th fret, pluck, and then release instantly to give you that mystical sound that we talked about in the last video. All right, let me just quickly take a look here. Did we miss anything? Did we miss anything? I don't think that we missed anything. I think we have, oh, we did miss something right here. The double bar line. That just means stop. That's all. So let's listen to what this piece sounds like. Here we go. So there is one note that I missed, and the reason I missed it, I don't know if you remember when we were going through it, I said, ooh, I missed a note head. I have no idea why it didn't come out, but on the actual form, it's there. It looks like this. It's a dotted half note, and the little dot on the half note means that the half note is worth 2. The dot means add half of whatever that note is worth. So since it's a half note and it's worth 2, the dot is telling you to add half of 2, which is 1. So 2 plus 1 is 3. So dotted half note is 3 beats. If the dot were on a whole note, it would be 4 beats plus add half of whatever that beat is, which is 4 plus 2, which would be 6. Okay? That's it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Music symbols are super, super important. Now, when you are learning how to play a song or a piece of music, absolutely, you can just kind of play through it and learn it and get the mechanics of your fingers out. But knowing the music symbols and being able to read them and do and express what they are asking you to do makes you a dynamic guitar player, which means your pieces will sound better and you'll feel emotion when you're actually playing it. And to the listener, you'll be able to convey what you're feeling with the sound that you're making. So it communicates what the music should sound like better to the listener. So that's the reason music notation is super important and the music symbols are super, super important. So Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy this video, make sure you hit a like and consider subscribing to the channel. Remember, there's a giveaway going on right now. So subscribe, man, get to it. All right, I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful week, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.